Hi everyone, Amy here from the Wakelet team. Thank you so much for joining. I'm seeing lots of you already jumping in the chat there, so it's so lovely to see. But thank you for joining us for another Wakelet webinar. It's a community showcase, one of my absolute favorites. It gives us the opportunity to have our wonderful ambassadors jump on and speak about some incredible ways that they're using Wakelet. So we'll get started in just a moment, but yeah, keep those comments coming through. I'm seeing a lot of you guys on there already. Linda there from Canada, Lerdas there from Portugal, Farid there from Tunisia, Croatia. I absolutely love these webinars because we get to just connect across all around the world. So use the comments throughout to share any ideas, ask any questions that you have. It'll be a great opportunity to do so. And we have some fantastic speakers as well, who I'll introduce in just a moment. Just a little bit before we start as well, you will be able to watch this session straight after. It'll be live on our YouTube, well, it's live on our YouTube channel now, but you'll be able to catch up straight after if you want to go back and check on anything. We'll also send you out a certificate of attendance and a collection of all the resources, the recording and everything that's shared as well. So I know you'll want to give our wonderful speakers a follow, so we'll make sure you have all of the information to be able to do so. So towards the sort of end of the session, we'll make sure the link's in there for you to fill that out. But thank you all so much for joining. Without further ado, I'm going to jump our guests on. I'm joined by two fabulous Wakelet ambassadors who are going to be sharing different ways that they're using Wakelet. So Wendy and Lydia, hi, how are you both?
Hey, hello.
Hello, everyone.
So great to have you on. There's so many excited people in the chat. So I know it's going to be a great session. I know you both have awesome things to share. So we'll hand over in just a moment, but we'll just go do a little go round and sort of do an introduction just before. So Wendy, do you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone. My name is Wendy, and I am a science teacher in the state of Florida. I have been collectively teaching for probably a little over 15 years. So I think that's pretty exciting because I've never seen anything like Wakelet, and I love it. So I cannot wait to share what I've been doing.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, we're looking forward to that, Wendy. Lydia.
Hi, I'm Lydia Krupp. I am the Instructional Technology Coordinator for Ferris ISD. It's about 20 minutes south of Dallas, Texas, where I live here in North Texas. And I also am the Area 10 Director for TCEA. So all of my Area 10/Region 10 people on the call on the webinar today. Hi. Hey.
Love that little shout outs. But yeah, keep it all coming in the comments. I am going to jump off. Me and Lydia are going to jump off for now and hand the stage over to Wendy, because I know you've got lots of fantastic things to share. But yeah, any comments, any questions, keep them coming in the chat. We'll be answering all of those as we go. So yeah, Wendy, I'll see you shortly.
Thank you. Well, hello again, everyone. This is how I've been using Wakelet in my classroom. I have done the regular, just make collections and stuff, but I really was thinking more about having to do things that were a little bit out of the box. And so I really, really enjoy doing scavenger hunts. And I know that sounds a little bit odd, but as I do a scavenger hunt and I am kind of getting different things going in my classroom, I seem to be able to allow the students to discover new things. And as they try and as they do things, I can really see their confidence building. And it makes me really happy to know that they are succeeding at what they're doing. An example that I'd really like to share with you is what we do the first week of school. And what I did was I literally had a scavenger hunt. And the students were new to the school. This was after lockdown, and they had not attended in a while. So as new students came in, I literally gave them a scavenger hunt around the school. I started it by asking them to look around the school during the week and figure out which rooms or which areas had the answers to the clues below. I gave them parameters that we may list things, that they could put a staff member's name or they could put the room name, because not every student knew every instructor, but they could look around and go, oh, this is a maths room. This is the English room. And so that they'd get credit for that. Please don't laugh at this now. This is my science classroom. And the first clue that we had given the students was to look around, feeling the breeze, find a place with a few palm trees. And the answer was the science room. And so I literally read the question, ran over to the trees, and gave them an idea of what they were looking for. It helped them realize that this was a bit playful, but also to pay attention to what was going on around them. Every room had something in there. We have a teacher who likes to have yoga balls. And so we had bounce and wiggle because you can. Green yoga balls are part of the plan. And so as the students went through their day and went through whatever the clues they had, they were kind of ticking things off of this list. What I did that was a little different, we teach students that are middle and high school. For the younger students, I went ahead and asked them to please record their answers to all of this in their notebook so that I would start teaching them organizational skills the way I wanted their science notebook to be, with a table of contents and numbered pages and things like that. So they answered that way. The older students, our high school students, made a copy of a Wakelet, and then they went ahead and put it, they answered right here on the page. They learned to edit. So I used it 2 different ways to see what I liked best, and honestly, they both worked fine.
Hey, Wendy, I'm so sorry to jump in. I think we're just sharing one tab at the moment. So we'd love to be able to see actually inside that collection. So do you mind if we stop the share and pick a different, like the entire screen, just so we can see the example that you're highlighting here?
Share this tab instead?
Yes, that's the one there. That's it.
Did it do it?
Yes, that's perfect. We can all see now. Fantastic. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so let me go back and show you guys the silliness of me standing in front of the trees in the science room. But it really did help the students visualize what they were doing. I've left all this so that everybody can copy, and it's up for all to use, so you can look around and you would adapt this to your class or your school if you wanted to do it. I got out of mine. Did it change back to the presentation, Amy?
Yes, yeah, you're all good.
Okay, so other possibilities that I've used with the scavenger hunt idea. For younger students, and I'm really talking elementary, primary students, maybe if you give them things like maybe discovering their shapes around a classroom, or maybe learning about their colors, or rhyming words, say, I need a word that rhymes with me, and hopefully they can find a tree or something. I don't know. Letters of the alphabet is also something that works really well with the younger students. For the upper levels, I've used it for textbook or reading passages. I give them a clue of something I'd like them to focus on, and then they go ahead and try to find whatever it is. I teach an environmental science class, and so I love to use geography clues. I will give coordinates and take students to the Great Barrier Reef and then show the vastness of it because the coordinates are so far apart, like mapping and stuff, and trying to explain how we use a GPS. I also have used this for world news and things that sometimes I don't think the students are into, but they really are because they love the thrill of the hunt, so to say. I use it for review topics before an exam or a test. And also sometimes just to introduce new topics. I mean, if you think about the first day of school thing, that really worked well for, in showing something new, the school. Another thing that I absolutely love to do is to do things I learned. And I don't put many parameters around this, except that it needs to be school appropriate. The students can go ahead and literally, there we go, and can literally put anything that they want that they learned during the week. And it's like, I don't know, like a wrap up. And so you can see that something that we learned that week was that not all fishes have scales. We talked about what was going to happen in the future in tech. And all the students contributed anything that they learned during the week in class. Some people learned in first week of science, we talk about dependent and independent variables. They learned about ecocentrism and anthropocentrism, and the older kids understanding that there are different views of the world. So it's a way I can see what they took away and what I need to go back and kind of work on. So I just think that it's a kind of a cool way of doing it. And that's pretty much what I have for you. Other questions?
Awesome, thank you so much. No questions so far, but I did love seeing all of the different examples that you had there. The scavenger hunt. I really love that because we were speaking about it slightly before, and I just think it's a really great way to sort of pick them up, get them learning in different ways, and out there looking for different things. And just like I said, with sort of learning by actually doing as well. And I love the idea of the coordinates as well. My former Girl Guide is like, yes, I would love to do an activity like that. I remember when I was in Girl Guides, we had to do like a London type one as well. So yeah, that's really cool, and it's a really nice way to get them thinking in another way. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And with the things we learned as well, I love the visual aspect of that. It's a really nice way to get your students on and sort of having them add their ideas and sort of reflect that in different ways, because you can add lots of different types of media. You've got the visual elements, you can add some text, so it's however the student wants to express themselves that way as well. I kind of remember when I was at school, it's kind of like you kind of had to rate how you found and how you learned things, but I really like that. It's a way to sort of express it in lots of different ways as well, which is really lovely. But yeah, we're going to bring Lydia on next. So thank you so much. And if there's any questions, we'll pop those through, and we'll pull you back on to jump on at the end. And I'm sure there'll be a few questions that we'll have to go through as well. But yeah, we'll pop you back, and we'll bring Lydia on now. Hi, Lydia.
Hey, how's everyone doing?
Yeah, we're all good. So we're gonna go over to you. Like I said, any comments, any chats, please keep them coming through. Any questions that you have, we will put some time in towards the end as well, to have a chat and answer any questions that you had. Inside Impact there, just speaking about the scavenger hunt idea, absolutely love that. Great way for kids to be active. So yeah, absolutely love that. But Lydia, yes, over to you. I know you have some awesome ideas to share as well. So I'm going to give you the stage. And,
all right, thank you so much. And I love the idea of what we learned this week, because it is interesting to see what kids take from different lessons. So I wrote that one down. I really enjoyed learning about that. Okay, so I do not have a conventional classroom. I support teachers. And so a lot of things I do is also just like, how can I help support them in some of the things that they're trying to accomplish? Sometimes my stuff is more professional learning. It leans towards that. But a few things I want to share with you today, I think are just fun. Just one of them, I really just literally popped in my head one evening, and then the next day I built it out, and I thought it was a lot of fun. But for starters, as I mentioned, I'm the Area 10 Director for TCEA, and we had our convention in my hometown this year. And if you know me, you've heard me say that 1 million times, and I apologize, there's 1,000,001 more. And one thing I thought would be fun to get Area 10 engaged is if I had, a little competition, and they could post things that they were learning to Twitter, and just kind of see how it went. And so I used Wakelet to put that together. And basically, I used the columns, because I do love the columns. And on here, I put the guidelines here on the left so they could understand what are the rules, what is it we're trying to do, all the way over here. If they weren't familiar with Twitter, I had like some basics on things they could do to create an account, to get online using TweetDeck, stuff like that. And then every day I added to each column something for them to do for the day. And so there would be Dallas trivia. I really wanted them to get to know the TCA staff and board members. So they graciously volunteered to be chosen every day. And I'll scroll through these in a minute. Ways they were learning at TCEA, right? Because that's part of the deal. We want to connect. We want to learn from each other. And then finally, I would draw from the post. I would do like either name picker ninja or spin a wheel of names or whatever. And whoever won, they won a prize. Apologize for that. They won a prize, and then I would put the winning tweets in a whole other column so people could see what they were sharing. So when you come over here, like Dallas trivia, every day I put out something about a location in the Dallas area or history of the Dallas area. And because Wakelet, you can link anything, it was cool because I could either put an image. I am a Dallas Stars fan. Or I could put a tweet from the organization or the location. And so it was really cool to be able to show people these things as well as have them do trivia. And then, like I said, the staff and board members were wonderful. They volunteered to be the person of the day, as it were. And so I was able to put their images in here for each day so that people could find them and get to know them. And then, of course, the share your learning, it was different ways they could share stuff they'd learned at TCA. So again, linking really helped with that. So this was one way I used Wakelet to do that little competition for Twitter and just to assign something for each column and then for each day know what I was going to post out for them to do. So that was one way I've used Wakelet recently. I'm going to save one for the end because people really seem to like it. So that'll be my big showstopper, I suppose. Another idea that came to me is I know it's March. This is more of maybe a January thing for a lot of people, but this idea of a vision board, I love that idea. I love picking a word for the year. I love setting goals for the year. I am a person who loves those ideas, but maybe it trails off for me after a while for whatever reason. Life happens. I get distracted. So I thought, what's a way I could keep coming back to it, right? I could return to that and hold myself accountable for checking in with myself about where I'm at. And so I took the concept of the vision board and I made one, and I did build this one out in Canva. You could build it out in anything. There's all sorts of creation tools out there. But I built it out in Canva and I put things on there that I know I want to keep coming back to. In my new role in Ferris, working on my leadership skills, in TCA being that, spokesperson for Area 10, like what do they need? How do I support them? I am working towards my doctorate. And so getting, sticking to that path, how am I accomplishing that? So I am a learner, my faith, my family, you can see my family over there. So just all the things I know I need to remind myself of. Well, as opposed to just putting it up and looking at it, like how do I revisit it enough and find things to continue to support me? So when I look at shaping 2022, right? What can I link to, right? When I find something or something inspires me or it reminds me to revisit it, I can put it here in this Wakelet, right? And so what you see in here, my word of the year is balance, right? Ted Lasso, love him. They're filming season 3 right now. I'm so excited. But specifically this moment when he's talking to the team, it will all work out. I know his next line is, it may not always work out the way you want it to, but the bottom line is it will all work out. And that's something I need to achieve that balance when I know that I can't control everything. But then also I am a Dallas Stars girl. That's how I remind myself to relax, to have a good time. So I have the link to the Podman Rush podcast. And then everything else on here are just things to help me stay focused on where I want to grow and how I want to become stronger in those areas of my life this year. And so I thought this was a cool way to put a spin. If you're, a goal setter or a vision board person, you can do it in here. Then if you bookmark this, it's a quick access to it at all times, right? And if I'm on my phone, I can add to it or I can pop it up if I need a little inspiration. And so I've built this out and I can continue to add to it throughout the year. And then next year, when I'm ready to do this all over again, I can reflect. I can come back and look and say, how did this work for me? Did I revisit it like I wanted and stuff like that? So that was the second one I was going to show you today. And then this one, I don't know if I should admit what inspired it. And I don't know if they're called the same thing all over the world. So I'll explain. I love slot machines. So if you've ever been to a place like Las Vegas or Shreveport or any type of casino will have the slot machines. And the slot machines are those ones where you pull the lever, push the button, and it rolls and lines up. I am well aware it is a way to just lose a lot of money, but for some reason they've always fascinated me, and I could spend hours at them. So maybe, which is why I don't do them very often. But so I thought, how cool would it be if I use the columns in Wakelet as a type of slot machine for learning? So what I've done here is this story idea generator, and I'm going to talk about how it can translate across some subject areas as well. But what I did is here on the left, I put my instructions and I linked to some digital dice. You could use actual dice if you wanted that, hands-on part of it, that's fine. But I did put the digital on here. And then depending on what you roll would depend on where you stop in the next set of columns. So for example, if I rolled a 3 for my protagonist, I would come here. So this girl here is my protagonist. I would create a name, I would create a background, but I know that she's going to be my protagonist. If I rolled a 2, my antagonist, it looks like it's going to be person versus nature, right? Like, so there's a storm, something is happening, and she's going to have to figure this out, right? And then if I roll a 5, for my setting, a storm in some sort of place very cold. And I get it initially you're like, oh, how's this all going to match up? But if they're writing the story, if students are writing a story, creating a story, this kind of gives them a place to start. And it can get pretty creative depending on what they're rolling. So if I roll a 2, I have a band of animals. Maybe they're paper animals, maybe they're not, but I have a band of animals. And then what kind of story? If I were to roll another 3, it's got to be fantasy or science fiction, right? And so using all of those, just the different combinations, each time you roll, it could be something different, something new, the kind of story you can write. So maybe if I am doing some type of math, you want them to roll and you have 4 or 5 different concepts you're covering and a set of problems under each concept. And now they're rolling to see which problem they're working under each concept. So at the end, they have 5 questions they did, but it's a different concept for each question. If I'm doing something in a social studies room, right? Maybe I need to do some type of research. So you want to have a set of time periods or historical figures or events. And, or even if you want them to use a set of resources, which resources are you using? And they can spin and roll for which one they're going to pick out of each column. So it's just kind of this idea that it's another way to mix it up a bit and do a choice board. And like I said, it was inspired by a slot machine. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I thought this was a fun way to just kind of change up how we give students choices. So that's actually, those are the ones that I have to share. I'm happy to answer questions if anybody has any, or if they need me to go back and talk about anything.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lydia. I absolutely I'm fine with that being that was your inspiration. I absolutely love that because it's just such a good idea. It's so creative. I'm a big lover of columns. I love them with the sort of organizational aspects, which you kind of like demonstrated with the competition a little bit there, although it was like more collaborative. I like that it was kind of split up between there. So I like it for the organizational, but I really love the creative side of that. And it does kind of look like that, which I absolutely love. I'd love to know what was your students' sort of reaction to that? Did they really get involved with it? Did they enjoy it?
Well, so for the competition, I had a good handful of people in Area 10 that seemed to really enjoy it. And so that made me happy. I didn't have a number because Area 10 is very big. We currently have around 6,000 members in Area 10 alone. And so it's not like I set I want 1,000 or anything like that. I just was putting it out there to see how it went. And so to have a handful of people every day just even participate really made me happy. And it kind of gave me some directions to go in the future. I have not tried the story template yet. That struck me probably a couple of weeks ago, and I built it out and sent it to you guys or Tisha, and she shared it. She's like, everybody loves it. I'm like, okay, I'll share it. So I am curious if anybody gives that a shot, how that goes. And I do have it in, like I said, I support teachers more than anything, so I usually take stuff like this to them and see if there's an interest level there. So once I see it in action, I'll be able to have it. But that literally struck me just recently. So I haven't really been able to try it out yet. So.
No, I'll be interested to know what your students think of it, because I think it's really creative, really nice way to get involved, and it kind of sparked some ideas in my head with a competition as well. So yeah, might be linking up to ask a little bit more about that later on, because it is a really cool way to do it. And I love the visual element, and it kind of reminds me of the game where, you know, you kind of start with bits of the story and kind of piece them together. Or you used to say, I went to the shop and then I bought this, and then you kind of have to remember each one. So I kind of get that kind of game vibe from sort of both.
It's funny you bring that up, because I love that idea. Like, I have to say a sentence and the next person has to say it. That there's that element to it for sure. And it is always interesting. Or even, I don't know if y'all called it also the game of telephone growing up as a kid, where you started with the phrase and you had to whisper the phrase to the next person, and the person whispers what they thought they heard. And at the end, you wanted to see if what the last person got was the original phrase. And I'm sure there's something in there with that too. But just that idea, because that's what columns are just really good for moving in that direction. And that's why I was like, that's kind of a different way to look at it. So
yeah, I really love it. And I love your sort of like shaping 2022. I think it's a really nice reflective piece for yourself as well. Your students can do it, but also just one for yourself. It's kind of having that vision board and to sort of reflect on that afterward, because, you know, life gets busy and you have all these plans and things, and it's really nice to then look back, especially again in that sort of visual way, and kind of almost sort of what worked, what did.
I'm going to assume she was talking about reflecting in the visual way. Oh, there she is.
I think we all just had a moment there. Sorry, everyone.
It's like, now watch me pull this rabbit out of my hat. I don't know. Yeah. I didn't know what else to have ready.
Apologies, everyone. I think that might have been on me, but we're all back. It's absolutely fine. Hi, Wendy. I thought you'd jump you into the chat as well. But yeah, I just wanted to we'll have a look, see if there's any questions coming through in the comments. But yeah, everyone out there, any questions coming through? Maybe you've been inspired by some of the ideas. I know I have. So even if it's just about how, you know, Lydia and Wendy put them together, please let us know if you've got any questions. But one thing I wanted to know is, I know from speaking to you both, you know, you're really creative with how you teach your students. And I know, Wendy, we've spoken about sort of like gamifying things to, you know, sort of better reach your students and sort of engage them as well. From both of you, I'd love to know how Wakelet sort of helps you do this, how you use Wakelet best to do this. But yeah, Wendy, over to you.
I love the fact that I don't have to stick to one way of using Wakelet. So I can have a scavenger hunt. I can make a collection. I can do anything that I wish to make it more engaging for the students. And I really like to listen to what they say. They love putting GIFs up there. They think this is like the best thing they could do to communicate. And sometimes it's really amazing to see how well they did grasp a concept and are able to express it. So I think that Wakelet's just allowed me to give my students options.
I agree. Absolutely. And it's funny you said all the ways you could use it, because the word that popped in my head was the universality, like I'm having trouble with words today. It's a universal tool. So one of the big things that we all know as educators is your focus is always that learning objective, right? That outcome. What is it that the kids need to learn? And so whatever you use, it should be in service of that, right? And that's the approach even with technology, especially. And that's one thing we try to really support our teachers understanding. A tool could be great and cool and fun, but if it's not in service of the learning objective, it's not helpful, right? And so when you have something universal like Wakelet that does so many different things, like it fits it can be in service of many different learning outcomes, right? And the sheer fact I can link to things and upload things, right? And I could even type things. It just gives you all that room to use it in different ways. And that's why I like telling people, try Wakelet, because it does so many different things. And you know, as opposed to, and there are some great tools, they are very focused and they're very needed for that specific focus. But when you're looking to at a room of teachers who teach very different things, very different levels of student and content, it's nice to have a tool that goes, this can do this for you, and this can do this for you. And so that's, that universal feel is one reason I really like this, recommending Wakelet to people.
Mm. Yeah, it's definitely the versatility, and that's what I kind of love. I mean, that's what I love about having to do getting to do these showcases, because because you see so many different ideas, and it's because Wakelet is so versatile. There's because you can put so many different links in there. It's whatever you want to make it. I kind of, when I'm going through like the masterclass and teaching how to use Wakelet, we always say it starts out as a blank canvas, because it literally you can create whatever you'd like to create. And I know you both touched on student choice, and speaking around that sort of, what is kind of the importance you both will put on and student choice, and why is that important when you're teaching? Wendy, kick us off.
I think it's really important to let the students have a choice, because we all express ourselves differently. And it gives them the confidence to move forward when they can speak their own language, which I really love. And the other thing that Lydia said, that this was so amazing, the edit option on this is what it gives the students that much more, because they can fix it if they need to add something. They can change and adjust as they learn more. And I just think that growth in their educational mindset, because it is a growth mindset, it is a learning mindset. If they can do it and they succeed, they're going to do better. And the fact that they're having a good time with it makes it all the much better for each student.
Absolutely. I think about, so there's a couple things come into play when I think of student choice, a few things actually. I think of being that student who didn't always respond in the way that the teacher was asking for the response, but wanting to be the student to get the A. So there were a lot of times I would do it the way I was told to do it and not be as successful as I wanted. And I think of the toll that took on me just as a person and how that shaped me growing up. And so I always think of that. I always think of when I was a teacher in the classroom doing what I thought was the right thing, because that's what I'd been taught, and looking back and going, I probably could have let go of some of that, right? Because what was important, what the student was learning, or that I told them how to learn it, right? Like where was that balance? So I apologize if any of my former students happen to see this. I'm sorry. So there's that. But also when I walk in classrooms and I see whole group instruction happening, which has its place, but I hear the same 3 kids answering questions each time, I think of the other, depending on what you're teaching, 15 to 30 kids, depending on the grade level, like, how are they being heard, right? How are they being a part of the learning? How are they being a part of the conversation? And my heart breaks a little bit, because the answer might be they're not. They never have, right? And so they're going to go through school either always just kind of taking a back seat, not disengaged maybe, or feeling like they aren't worth as much because they weren't the loudest kid in the room. As one of the loudest kids in the room, again, I apologize, but that always matters to me too. So when you have that student choice and they have a different way of being heard, all the ways of being heard, that's really important to me, because I never want a student to feel like they didn't matter when it comes to their own learning, right? So yeah. That's big for me.
No, I love that from both of you there. I mean, I see it being so important, because like you said, like if you look back on sort of how we were taught, it's kind of like you were kind of taught in one way, and there wasn't too much variation. But now I see the ideas like you're both presenting to your students, and it's so cool. I want to be a student again. and to be contributing to these collections, and being able to sort of have my input and choose how I learn to a certain degree. You're giving them that option to do so, because we really don't all learn the same. Some people are more visual, some people are better expressing themselves with words, with video, with images. So it's really nice that you give that option. I mean, I saw one of the examples that I love when Tisha talks about is with the lesson plans, and I love that she used to sort of give the choice of they could work for it independently, and it could be recorded video, but it could be create an Adobe picture or something like that, or a graphic, or depending on how they like to express themselves. So I think that's really cool. But yes, they're very lucky to have you both as teachers there. We had a really cool question come through from Farid there. What is the best feature that distinguishes Wakelet from the rest of the platforms? So what's the standout feature that you love on Wakelet that stands out from others? That's a tricky one. Wendy, have you got an answer in mind?
Well, I'm thinking about it, and I feel like I'm going to be locked in, but just the whole collaborative aspect of it, the fact that we're working together as a team, we're never going to succeed out in the real world unless we've got somebody to work with. Okay, whether we're co-workers or we're in a restaurant waiting for someone to prep our food, that we are dependent on other people and we have to communicate. So the fact that they can communicate, can collaborate on it, those opportunities you cannot just find that in any regular place. I mean, this is just amazing. It's an unbelievable platform. It really is. I'm so thankful that I discovered it. Seriously.
Well, we're thankful to have you using it and showcasing all of your ideas, because it's so awesome to have you on here. Inspired Impact was, again, just all about the versatility, the collaborative opportunities. So big agreement there. And I do love the collaborative aspect and kind of the ease of it to do so, because you can simply just invite your students, your colleagues to just work with you on it. You don't have to go through the create another account or anything like that if you don't want to. So it just makes it really easy. You can just suddenly be doing this really creative, activity in class in a matter of minutes, and just switching up how you're teaching and how your students are learning, and it's really quick to do. And then you have these things to show for, like at the end, these really incredible collections that has input from so many different people, which I really love. Like Lydia's example of the competition there, you've got so many ideas all in one place. Look, I'm getting excited about it. Let's do another collaborative collection. But yeah, I love that. I think that's one of my favorites as well, because you can join it and it's fun to be a part of as well. I love the team ones that we have going on. And it's a great place to be able to put your ideas into. But Lydia, sorry, over to you. Any favorites?
No, you're fine. And that was a great, I don't know if I could give a better answer than that. I just think for me, I don't know if this really counts as a feature, but just the fact you get this tool as an educator for free, right? And everything you guys do is in support of making teachers' lives better, is in support of students learning, is in support, it's more of an ethos thing for me. The feature is what you guys believe in. I know it's really philosophical. I'm sorry, it's lunchtime over here. Maybe it's too heavy for lunchtime, but I absolutely love that underlying idea that this is what we believe in, and you do. And so and that's what makes that collaborative piece better. The fact you can bring in all different types of sources, the fact that you're safe to use with students. I know it's huge, especially in education. I'm not a worry with you guys taking care of that, right? The fact that when you say, hey, we'd like to hear from you, you mean it, right? And you take that to heart. And so for me, that what makes you stand out, it's a feature, but it's just your basic, this is what you guys stand for. And I can definitely get behind that.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, that's entirely true. We're so grateful for the community we have, and a lot of the awesome features you see are because of the ambassadors that we have, such as yourselves. So, and we're always generating new ideas. And like I said, having showcases like this and being able to hear from you guys who are using it every day. We use it in different ways, but you guys using it with your students is so amazing to see. Like I said, so many creative ideas that come from it. There's just always something new. And jumping back to the columns, and when we release something like that, there's just so many more ideas, and I love that. So every time you see something new. But there was a few comments coming through, just agreeing, making students' lives easier, which is so lovely to hear, because that, we know you have enough planning to do and enough work outside of the classroom to be doing, and then you want that ease of a tool that's going to make that easier for you to use with them. So that's kind of music to my ears, music to our ears. So I absolutely love that. Inspired Impact there. Everyone, including students, can use Wakelet for personal and professional purposes. That could be a good question. Do either of you will use it for shaping 2022? Are there any other ideas or any other ways that you both use it?
Was professional learning. Did I just?
Oh, did I jump out again?
Oh, I don't know. It looks like my computer's starting to give me fits too. So I was like, were you going to ask about the professional learning, or were you going to ask about?
No, I was asking about outside of professional. So, So Inspired Impact was saying about, using it for personal and professional. So we've seen some great ideas of using it in the classrooms, but are there any ways outside of the Shaping 2022 that you use it outside of the classroom? Either of you.
Oh, okay. Do you want to go, Wendy, or did you?
You go first this time.
Okay. I will admit, if I'm doing something personally, I tend not to make it public because it's personal. So I don't really, it's not like you can click on and see it all, but I use it a lot for like lists of things like books to read, podcasts to listen to, things like that, so that it's easy for me to get to that stuff and find it when I need it. This isn't really personal, but because it's kind of school related, but my oldest son has his own space in my account so that he can create on there without having his account just yet. Because I don't know if they're going to use one at his school and stuff. And I didn't want to like cross emails and ruin it for, like mess things up for him. So he has his own space that he uses, in mind to do his stuff, and he'll put things in there. Like I mentioned this once upon a time, but like he has YouTube videos he likes to watch, but I won't let him have an account because he's under 13, but I don't want him messing up my algorithms. So I let him throw links to YouTube videos he wants to watch in a Wakelet, so he can go back and watch those later without like having to create a playlist just yet. So that actually helps, with that. One time I let him use my account.
Yeah.
All the videos.
That's a really good idea, because you can check on them as well. Well, not check, but do you know what I mean? Just have a little look through and
right.
check if everything's okay.
But yeah, so for me personally, it's more stuff like that just to help me keep a list, because even think of those, some people may still use the old RSS feeds that would like collect articles. Like if I see an article, but I know I don't have time to read it right now, I can throw it in a Wakelet, and then when I'm looking for articles to read, I can scroll through that and see, find the ones that I wanted to go back to, stuff like that. So
yeah, I love the podcast. I do love a podcast. So I have one also with all my podcast recommendations, because sometimes you'll be just out and about chatting to people, and someone will say about them. And I used to be really bad at like making a new notes on my phone. So every time I had one, and then I'd read it like a couple of days or a week later, and I'd be like, no, I can't remember what that is. So it's great to be able to just save them down into Wakelet, and then I'll be able to refer back to them later, or even like listen to them there and then as well, which is really cool. So I love that. I like some recipes and things like that as well. I have a baking one that I've put loads of ideas in. I actually have to start using and actually start baking. But yeah, some great ideas. Wendy, anything new?
I also have a recipe collection. I have a dessert collection with sweet nothings, because I think that's just funny. And then I have the stuff just regular list. I also use it for lists. I did have it last holiday season for someone in the family who's difficult to shop for. When I was with them and they saw something, I would snap a photo and then share with the other family members, sharing the link, which I thought was pretty cool. And I just realized that I said that, and now I have to be careful how I do it this year. But so many things. I also like to keep receipts on there when I order some different things. Especially we have pets, to keep in an order who got what, when, and where. It's such an easy place to organize things. It doesn't matter what you want to organize. You can just put it there and it's there. But I also don't make it public, so.
No, keep them for yourself. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. I mean, but yeah, I have the same with sort of gift ones and gift ideas and things like that. Also like a travel one. If my friend and I are going away or something like that, we put in our ideas of where we want to go, places we want to see and stuff like that. So yes, lots of ideas. Well, thank you both so much for sharing. I've had so much fun hearing from you both. It's been so great being able to share ideas and hear what you guys have been up to with Wakelet. I know the community have absolutely loved it. So thank you both for joining. It's been a lot of fun. We will put the link in the chat, just so anyone, if you fill that out, you'll be able to get your certificate of attendance. Yeah, I'll just pop that in there now. So you'll be able to grab your certificate of attendance, and we'll share out resources of what we've shared. So you can grab the recording, and you'll also be able to follow Lydia and Wendy on Wakelet and Twitter as well. So I recommend you do, because they both have fabulous ideas that I'm sure they'll share out with you. But yeah, I think we are going to round things up. Any final goodbyes before we head off, guys?
Thank you for having me on. This is great.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you both so much for joining, and thank you all for tuning in and watching. We'll see you next time. Thanks ever so much, guys. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.